Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's realistic review in which we are taking a look at the Italian G50 AS Serie 7 sitting at 1.7 battle rating. An absolute joy to fly this plane, guaranteeing some low tier shenanigans with its maneuverability and its nimbleness. This plane really is fun to fly. The performance is, well, it's pretty good, especially in the maneuvering department, but of course every plane has upsides and downsides. Let's get into her. The maximum speed at sea level is 358 kilometers an hour without WEP and 412 kilometers an hour with WEP. At 4500 meters it is 340 kilometers an hour without WEP and 384 with WEP. And finally, at 6500 meters, it is 338 kilometers an hour without WEP and 339 with WEP. So finally, no WEP anymore at the higher altitudes. This plane definitely is best with the engine power at mid to low altitudes, with a pretty good WEP for a tier 1 plane on her there. And although the maximum speeds are not anything far above average, it is still pretty decent, especially with WEP. The top speed in a dive in this plane is 771 kilometers an hour before it redlines and 830 before it rips apart. That is absolutely stunning for a plane at tier 1. Absolutely magnificent top speeds in a dive. Is that the effective dive speed, you would say? The control stiffening already starts at 550 slightly. In the roll rate, very slightly, and it stays very maneuverable in the roll rate and with the elevator control as well until about 700, and the elevator only starts to stiffen up around 775 kilometers an hour. The roll rate only severely stiffened up at 700 kilometers an hour, so it's very possible to keep your guns on target in a dive against enemy planes for a very long time, with the roll rate being effective, being affected slightly earlier than the elevator when it comes to control stiffening. But all in all, this plane is good when it comes to compression. The stall speed in the plane is 115 kilometers an hour, which is also very good. So that is nice. The firepower in the plane is average though, and that is also its biggest downside when it comes to boom and zooming, for example. Plane is equipped with two 12.7mm Breda Safat machine guns with 300 rounds per gun. I used air targets for these matches, and stealth also works pretty well, giving you a little bit more time on the target before people are alerted. And I used an 800-meter convergence. The plane is also able to equip itself with two 50-kilogram bombs, just to give it a little bit of extra punch in ground attacking, let's say, if you want to do that. I wouldn't weigh it down with two 50-kilo bombs, but you can do that if that's your thing. The 300 rounds on the machine guns are decent firepower, but nothing more than that. All in all, the firepower is okay. You need to get close. The guns are placed very close together in the nose, and it is very easy to miss targets with this plane. Be aware of that, and only fire at close ranges. You could go and do a job then, let's say, with these guns, but at further distances and even at close range, it is difficult to get your guns consistently on target. The acceleration in the plane in a straight line is good, and in a dive it's decent. Energy retention in the horizontal is average, and in the vertical it's also average. This energy retention is also a downside to the energy fighting this plane can do, sometimes being beaten by another plane in that department. But all in all, with the decent acceleration, it can do a job there. It is a little bit of a jack of all trades, let's say. It can turn pretty well, it can energy fight decently, and it is possible to boom and zoom in the plane, although this is difficult with the finishing with these guns. You do not easily finish planes off in one go, and because of that it is difficult to boom and zoom, let's say. But it can be done with high accuracy on the guns, let's say. The climb rate in the plane is average. Turn time is good and very good with flaps. The flaps only rip off at 580 kilometers an hour, which is fantastic because that is not anywhere near the maximum speed in a straight line on any altitude. So only in an extreme dive will you go over that, and it gives you some good space with the 580. So the flaps can be used at your heart's content almost, let's say. The roll rate in the plane is decent. Overall maneuverability with that is good, I think, and overheating in the plane is present, but it is very easily manageable. It cools off very quickly, and thus the overheating does not present a problem in this plane. Durability overall is average. The plane suffers a little bit from pilot being in the open and not having much armament, or not having much armor around him, and the plane is prone to pilot damage in that sense. And as we all know from my last video, pilot damage these days is vital not to get. So in this plane you got to be careful today. You don't want to get damage because pilot damage is one of the easiest damage to take in this plane. Your pilot almost always gets hit in this plane due to the absence of armor, I guess, and the pilot being very pronounced in its position, let's say. But oh well, I mean, every plane has its downside, and that is the major weakness of this plane, together with its guns, which really are spaghetti pop guns, and one of the guns that do the least amount of damage in my experience. But that's just my experience. It might just be a feeling, but I'm getting a lot of hits still with these Breda Savat 12.7mm machine guns, unfortunately. But they do damage when you get them on target, and it may just be an accuracy problem as well. Who knows? I am missing a lot of shots with these guns, so there is that, and you know, my aim is usually pretty good. So well, it is a plane, and it is a gun setup to get used to, let's say. But all in all, I did have fun in the plane because it's a pretty good jack of all trades, and you can always fall back on the maneuverability of this plane, which is magnificent, really. It really is very nimble, and like I said, it does pretty good jobs in the boom and zooming and energy fighting departments as well. So you can transition between those roles pretty easily, and when it comes to maneuverability, you can definitely outpace the Hurricanes, for example, with ease, and only against the biplanes will you have a lot of trouble when it comes to maneuverability. So most monoplanes will not be able to compete with you in this plane. You do get a lot of assists in the plane, but yeah, well, that's life again as well. We got 3 kills in that match again with a first place in the team. Let's take a look at the scoreboard. In that first match we got a few rewards. Final blow, anti-mech, 10,000, almost 11,000 Silver Lions and 1400 research points. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. Now that was fun. I always have fun in the lower tiers, especially with these maneuverable, nimble planes that can do a lot. Transition between the roles in this plane is very nice, as it really is a jack of all trades that can transition between the roles pretty nicely, and is quite competitive at its 1.7 battle rating. The guns are a little bit of a downside, although they do damage. It's very difficult to get the guns on target. Very narrow setup of these guns, and thus very easy to miss with them, let's say. 300 rounds per gun are alright, but all in all, the plane performs very nicely with easily manageable overheating and average durability, with the prone pilot, which is a downside, and the guns, let's say. For the rest, this plane has nice performance and overall very nice handling. So definitely a plane that you can have a lot of fun in, get some shenanigans in with your friends, and definitely fun to fly. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.